No one likes injuries and nobody likes getting them or wishing them upon others, and that is the thing that we need to make a distinction about this video. We here are not making fun of Piqué or Roberto getting injuries, but rather looking at the positive outlook that these two very disastrous turn of events can actually give Barcelona looking towards the future. Because if you ask me, that is what Barcelona are currently lacking. They are lacking positive messages to send to the fan base. Right now you take a look at a club that are in complete disarray, overlooked by a player that really doesn't want to be there. That is why we in this video are going to be trying to do our best to remedy that. We are going to be looking at Gerard Piqué's injury and Sergi Roberto's as well, and see how the defense can benefit from that. Because if there's something that needs fixing more than anything, is this team's defense, because right now they're a complete coladera. Look it up in Spanish, I bet you're gonna have a laugh. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here, and welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered here on the channel. And before we begin, can I just say that I've seen that a lot of you who are watching my videos recently are not subscribed to the channel. So please make sure that by the end of the video, you make your own assumption as to whether you want to continue being subscribed to the channel or not. It will be very great to having you join this great community of football fans who are trying to learn and grow together in their knowledge, per se. At the moment of recording, we now know the full extent of both players' injuries, and I believe we shall ease you in by sharing you Roberto's diagnosis. The Spanish right back has suffered a rupture in the rectus femoris of his right thigh, an injury that heals in approximately 30 days, making the time for him being sidelined and time to regain full fitness somewhat of around 2 months. Once you analyze this in the long term of things, the loss of Sergi Roberto can be determined as somewhat inconsequential. The signing of Serginho Dest has and will limit this negative impact, as well as it could provide the catalyst for the US men's national team youngster to finally get the right amount of chances to emerge fully into the scene at Barcelona. On the other hand, the injury of the 33-year-old in Gerard Pique is one for worry. Not only does his age make it ever so, I'll say, more dangerous, but also the presence of Barcelona in the centre-back position creates a mystery as to who could potentially line up next to Lenglet, because the reality is that it comes after there only being one fully fit player, that being the Frenchman. Additionally, the diagnosis, which was a sprain and partial injury to Piqué's right knee anterior cruciate ligament, give us a time frame of healing of either 2 to 3 months, all the way to 6 or 8. All of this is going to depend on whether the Spaniard must go through surgery or not. But if you ask me for my personal take, I must admit that it looks for a situation not counted in weeks, but rather in months. So brace yourself if the news comes out that Piqué will most likely miss the rest of the season. Just like we did with Ousmane Dembélé not so long ago, we will begin by analyzing the bad things of Piqué's injury, most of which can be applied for Roberto as well. Needless to say, the first clear take that we can make is that Barcelona in him will be missing yet another centre-back. If the defensive problems couldn't get any worse, one way to make the backline even weaker is by literally removing a player. Decisions now, like loaning Jean-Claude Todibo to Benfica for 2 years, don't look so good now, do they? If you continue to look down the potential list of suitors for this position, you will find even then Samuel Umtiti, a player that when fit is a rare sight to see. And then we have Ronald Araujo. Within the first team, these are the only real concrete options that they have, and in the young Charrua, the only one if we are being honest. The 21-year-old is currently recovering from an injury of his own, and whilst many tip him to be a hot prodigy, the realistic thing is that there is not enough evidence to suggest that he's anything otherwise than an experienced player. Furthermore, the most clear negative I see for Piqué's injury comes in the form of losing a leader. Many statements and opinions have come out from the 1-0 defeat against Atletico, with the lack of pride and leadership from Barcelona's captains being the one that I tend to agree with the most. Having a 17-year-old in Pedri come out and face the media all in his own is the best piece of evidence to portray that the regression of certain figures within the Barcelona dressing room is happening faster than ever before. And just as a name is being removed from the defense, Piqué's injury is also removing, in my eyes, the only player capable of shouting, demanding for some sort of reaction and change throughout any sort of game. If there is one thing that makes me the most unnerved about losing two key players like Piqué and Sergi Roberto in terms of what they stand for the club, is that at least 80% of Barcelona's heart is being expelled as we speak. If there is one thing that you need to take away from this video is the following. Don't be too worried about what's gonna be happening inside the field. If I were you, I would be more worried about what's gonna be happening on the outside. As defenders come, Gerard Pique is a generational talent, and whilst debates can be made now about his current performances with the club, if we are totally being honest and unbiased, Gerard does deserve his name amongst the greats and perhaps even a name in some people's Hall of Fame. Yet he is suffering of something very similarly to Busquets, and that is that he as a player is becoming increasingly more difficult to gauge performances as of late. Just as we hinted before, Ronald Araujo is the main name to gain a clear advantage from Piqué's unfortunate injury. Tall, strong and passionate, all traits that the Uruguayan shares with Piqué. His speed and pace though is gonna be something far more valuable that he could add to Barcelona, which this team are yet to test. Koeman's 4-2-3-1 formation and therefore the double pivot is slowly but surely becoming more criticized by fans and media alike, blaming the gaps of space and inability to close them down as one of the main reasons why Barcelona has been so vulnerable in defense as they have been the entirety of this season. Currently sitting 12th in La Liga, having conceded 9 goals, the same as teams like Elche, Eibar and Osasuna, Barcelona has been their worst own obstacle from climbing up the leaderboards. This is where Araujo should step in. It's never nice to say it, but the injury would be forcing Koeman's hand, giving Araujo the much needed chance to show his dynamism and how he can help Barcelona's defense as a result. We are talking about a player who is physically stellar and capable of covering for those deficiencies that we've just mentioned, and not just on a short term. If there is anything to take away from the bad news, is that Araujo could be gaining, at least in the best of possible outlooks for Piqué, the possibility of playing 30 consecutive games. This is enough time to give Araujo the time to 1. Break through, cement his place into the team, and 2. Provide Barcelona with a good enough sample size as to how far deep do they have to reach into the winter transfer window. And here is where I make my second positive of the video. Here we're talking about that the player that could come in, which is most likely going to be Eric Garcia because the young Spaniard is yet to renew his contract with Manchester City, he could be filling in within the same shoes that we just talked about Ronald Araujo. With this, we are talking about a 20-year-old that could gain the much needed adaptation that he needs to return to a team like Barcelona. And with that, the possibility for him to compete with Ronald Araujo for a position in the first team. Additionally, we could also take a look at Samuel Umtiti, and many of you are gonna be making fun of him. I literally did inside this video, but the problem with injury-prone players is that whenever they return to fitness, they never get the right amount of game time to actually warm up their muscles. And if you do not know what I mean, is that basically when there's a player that is consistently injured and he doesn't find the possibilities to regain fitness, he's never gonna find it very easy. That is why these players are injury prone in the first place. We all know how good Samuel Umtiti can be, and before he was never going to get the chance to beat someone like Lenglet to that spot. But now there's no Piqué, so maybe he just has to fight it all on his own. And last but not least, Frenkie de Jong will be one of the players that will potentially get a very good shot at that center back position. This is not positive for him because he is certainly the player to go in the midfield for the years to come at Barcelona, but for the people underneath him, like Enrique Puig, like Carles Aleñá, who knows, maybe even Mateus Fernandes, right? They're gonna be getting at least more chances to prove their abilities. This is because then if the Dutch player is going to be pushed down into the defense, a new position, a new gap vacancy will be open there in the midfield. So no matter what the case is with Barcelona, in the immediate future, yes, you should be worried, especially for Gerard Piqué because he is going through a very difficult time right now, and definitely every single Barcelona fan is going to be there to support him. But in the long run, Barcelona already has good outlooks for the future in the center back position, and maybe it is just exactly what they needed. My mom never told me this, but she should have. Things happen for a reason. That's everything that I have to say for now. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you have enjoyed this video, and let me know in social media in the comment box down below what would you do to replace and fix this situation. Check out this video to learn more about Miralem Pjanic, or the one below, where we talked about a new potential transfer target that Barcelona, and by that manner any other club in world football, should be seeking out for. See you in the next one. Take care. Ciao, ciao.